The Emerald Tablet, Chapter 25, Inside the Fountain. Benjamin looked but saw nothing. I don't see it. And you will not be able to until you are ready, Ananya replied. She waved her hand in front of the fountain, and the water stopped, frozen in mid-air. Benjamin looked down and was surprised to see a large stone staircase spiraling downward into the darkness below. Water drained down the steps. It's a secret passageway, Heidi said, leaning over to get a closer look. Where does it go? The fountain stems from the sacred river Elf and travels deep into the caverns. The water contains the power of truth and the power of healing. It is down there that you will find what you seek, Ananya said. When will I be ready to get the key? Benjamin asked. When you have faced what it is you fear the most, Ananya replied. But what's that? Benjamin asked. Only you know what it is you fear. Only you can control your feelings, and only within you is the knowledge necessary to retrieve the key from its resting place, Ananya explained. Heidi stepped forward. Well, I guess we better go down there and look, Benjamin. The golden-haired man placed his arm gently in front of Heidi, barring her way. This task is for Benjamin to face alone, Heidi. You will have to wait here with us. But what if he needs help? Heidi persisted. He shouldn't go down there alone. What about the story you just told us about Reva? It could be dangerous. It'll be okay, Heidi, Benjamin said. I'll be fine. I can't think of anything I'm afraid of anyway. He smiled at her and began to walk forward. Just be careful, Heidi said. Benjamin noticed her face was knotted with concern. Why was she worried? She should be able to sense that there wasn't any fear in his mind, and he was doing his best to mask the small feeling of doubt which was not normally there. Okay, Benjamin replied. He started down the circular stone stairway. It was wet and dark, and after only 2 turns he could no longer see the light from above. The fountain began flowing again, and the sound of the running water filled the air around him. The water flowed gently over the side of the stairs, cascading down the center of the spiral. There was no handrail to hold on to, so Benjamin chose his steps carefully, settling both feet on each step before moving on to the next. His eyes adjusted to the dark in no time. The walls around him were barren, the stone steps simple and smooth. Benjamin continued walking downward, completing 50 turns of the staircase before reaching the bottom. The ground sloped downward, allowing the running water to travel away from the stairs. A path ran alongside the flow of the water, and Benjamin began walking next to it. He looked around, but didn't see any sign of the second key of Shambhala. Maybe it was down the path. As Benjamin walked, he heard nothing except the sound of the running water. The rushing sound increased as he proceeded farther into the depths of the earth. Benjamin continued walking through the water, though the water began to pool up over the banks of the small river. It sloshed against his feet, soaking his shoes through. With each step he took, the level of the river rose. "Can anybody hear me?" a voice called out amidst the pounding of the water. "Please, is there anybody out there?" Benjamin turned in the direction from which the voice came. "Help, please, anybody!" the familiar voice called. Benjamin recognized the voice at the same time he saw where it was coming from. Benjamin ran over to the cell carved into the side of the cavern. There, behind solid bars, was his mother. "Mom, what are you doing here? Benjamin, help! The water's starting to rise." Benjamin looked at the ground in the cell. Already it was covered with water up to his mom's ankles. "Mom, I'll get you out of there." Even as he spoke, the water quickened its rising pace. It now reached his mother's knees. He tried to use telekinesis to bend the bars of the cell, but his mind wasn't strong enough. "No, Benjamin, don't worry about me. Save the twins," his mother screamed. "Derek and Douglas, where are they?" "Mom, I can get you out," he called back. "No, get the twins. She's taken them. Please, Benjamin, save my babies. Don't let them die. Please, Benjamin." The water was now mid-thigh on his mother. Behind him he now heard the distinct cries of his younger brothers. "Benji! Benji, help us!" Derek called. Benjamin whipped his head around to look. Perched on the opposite wall were 2 shelves set apart from each other. Water was nearing the base of the shelves. "Benjamin, hurry, please!" his mom called out. He turned back to her. The water was now at her waist. "Don't worry about me. Save the twins." "Stay where you are," Benjamin called out to the twins, making his way to the opposite side of the large cavern. "Benji, I'm scared," Douglas cried. The water was so high Benjamin could no longer reach the bottom with his feet. He began to swim over toward the wall shelves. "Benji, why can't Mommy get out of there? I want my Mommy." Derek started to cry so fiercely he could hardly talk. "I want my Mommy." "I'm coming, Derek. Just stay where you are." Benjamin started swimming toward the shelf where Derek was now mid-knee in water. "Benji, don't leave me here," Douglas cried out. "I don't remember how to swim. Please, Benji, help me." "I'll be right over to get you, Dougie," Benjamin yelled out. "Just stay close to the wall." Benjamin had no idea if he'd be able to reach them both in time. Would he have to choose which of his brothers to save? He didn't think he could make such a choice, so instead he put the thought totally out of his head. He would save them both. There was no other choice. Benjamin used quick strokes and reached the shelf where Derek was still standing. The water rose rapidly. He grabbed Derek around the waist in a vice grip. "I want Mummy!" Derek was inconsolable. Benjamin turned to look back to the cell holding his mum. It was under water. "Derek," Benjamin said firmly, "you need to calm down. Mummy will be fine. We need to swim over to get Dougie, and we can't do that unless you calm down." "Mummy, where's my Mummy?" Derek cried. "Hurry, Benji, hurry!" Douglas called out. Benjamin turned to the other shelf and saw that Douglas was now up to his chest in water. It had to be now or never. "I'm coming, Douglas, just hold on," Benjamin called. He began to swim over, holding Derek firmly in his left arm. He had to swim on his back in order to carry the awkward load. The thought entered his mind that he might not be able to get there in time, but he immediately pushed it out. He had to get there in time. That's all there was to it. With every bit of speed and strength he could muster, Benjamin swam his way over to the wall shelf. Douglas was clawing desperately at the wall, trying to climb up the smooth side. The water rushed at them without mercy. Benjamin reached Douglas just before the water would have covered his head. Grabbing Douglas in his right arm, Benjamin arranged himself and the twins all on their backs in order to stay afloat. Derek was still crying for Mummy, and soon Douglas was crying too. "Settle down!" he screamed the thought in his mind. He didn't know if the twins could hear him, but he didn't have the energy to talk. There would be time later to think about his mom. Right now, the most important thing for Benjamin was to get the twins to safety. Benjamin tried to crane his head around, looking for somewhere to escape from the river flood. Off to the left was a large upper cavern, which in normal circumstances would have overlooked the river far below. Kicking his legs with every bit of energy he had left, Benjamin made his way to the floor of the cavern. The water level was stabilizing, and using his remaining strength, Benjamin maneuvered the twins one at a time up onto the floor. Finally, he pulled himself up behind them and rolled onto his back. Suddenly, the world shifted around Benjamin. He no longer lay on the floor of the large cavern. He lay at the base of the stairway, the same one he'd descended earlier. He quickly felt to his side, searching for the twins. "You have done well, Benjamin Holt," the voice of Ananya said in his head. "Where are my brothers?" Benjamin demanded. "What have you done with them? Where is my mom?" "Your brothers are home safely with your mother and father and sister," Ananya said. "But what about the river? What about the cell my mom was trapped in? Who put them there?" Benjamin yelled his reply. "It was only a test, nothing more. You have passed, and you are ready for what lays ahead," Ananya said. Benjamin stood up quickly, looking around for Derek and Douglas. They were nowhere to be found, and the water running off the stairway had returned to a normal flow, gently meandering its way through the cavern. "A test? What kind of test was that? That was the most awful thing I've ever been through in my life. My mother was dead, and my brothers nearly were too." Benjamin felt a lump well up in his throat. He fought back tears with his anger. "That was the kind of test that you will face if you continue on as champion of the Emerald Tablet," Ananya replied. "What do you mean, continue on? Do I have a choice in the matter?" Benjamin asked, his anger only just slightly subsiding as relief that the whole thing might not have been true reached his brain. "There is always a choice in everything we do in life," Ananya said. "It is for you and only you to decide if you are ready and willing to accept the challenge. You must decide if you are willing to put the good of the world above your own." "And if I'm not?" Benjamin asked. "Then you may simply walk away," Ananya said. "And if I am?" Benjamin asked. "And if you are, then the key is waiting for you," Ananya replied. In the center of the stairwell, on the floor, a bright green light began to glow, pulsating out from beneath the cascading water. Benjamin reached his hand toward the light, knowing what waited for him there. His hand closed around the smooth stone, and he slowly picked it up. It was green and carved and beautiful, just like the first key. Benjamin held it in his hand for a moment, studying its beauty. Was he the right person for the task set before him? Would he be able to bring peace to the people of Earth? Was he willing to accept such a large responsibility? Before now, Benjamin hadn't really thought about the seriousness of the situation. It had seemed more like a game, a treasure hunt. Now he realized it wasn't a game, but something far more serious than he could ever have imagined before. But if he didn't do it, then who would? Would Earth be doomed to disaster? He looked at the key once more, and then slowly slipped it into his pocket. He would face what lay ahead. Without looking back, he began the long way up the circular stairway.